Imagine you're standing on a rocky Greek coastline. The sky is clear, the harbor is calm, and the sea looks almost gentle, like polished glass. Then, without warning, the wind turns. The water darkens. Waves begin to climb like living things. A ship that looked safe a minute ago suddenly feels tiny and breakable. In Greek myth, the ocean doesn't rage by accident. The sea has a personality, and that personality has a name, Poseidon. Most people meet him as the god of the sea, the guy with a trident, the bearded king of mermaids and waves. But the ancient Greeks knew a wider truth. Poseidon wasn't only water, he was power in motion. He was storm. He was the trembling of the ground beneath your feet. And somehow, he was horses. Wild speed and muscle and panic given a heartbeat. So today, we're stepping into Poseidon's realm, where beauty and terror are the same thing, where respect is safety, and where arrogance gets you shipwrecked. By the end, you'll understand who Poseidon really is, why the Greeks feared him, why they honored him, and why his myths still feel so modern. Because the ocean is still the same, breathtaking, essential, and completely uninterested in your plans. To understand Poseidon, we need to zoom out to the big structure of Greek myth. After the old gods, the Titans, were overthrown, the world didn't become perfectly peaceful. It became organized. The cosmos was divided into domains, and the rulers of those domains became the Olympians. And at the center of that new order are three brothers, Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. You can picture it like a cosmic inheritance split. Zeus takes the sky, the high throne of storms and law. Hades takes the underworld, the unseen kingdom of the dead, and Poseidon takes the sea. But here's a crucial point. This wasn't third place. This wasn't a consolation prize. The sea in the ancient world wasn't a vacation. It was a border, a highway, a graveyard, and a monster all at once. If Zeus rules from above, Poseidon rules from below the horizon, where the world disappears. So when ancient sailors prayed, when coastal cities offered sacrifices, when fishermen kissed their charms and went to work, many of them weren't thinking first of Zeus. They were thinking, please, Poseidon, not today. Poseidon's story begins the same way many Olympian stories begin. With family drama so extreme, it becomes cosmic. The Titan Kronos, king of the old generation, was terrified of being overthrown. So he did something monstrous. He swallowed his children as soon as they were born. In this mythic logic, swallowing isn't just violence, it's control. It's a tyrant trying to freeze the future. But the future refuses to stay buried. Kronos' wife, Rhea, saves the youngest Zeus, who grows up in secret. When Zeus returns, he forces Kronos to release the swallowed children. And out they come, alive, like the next age breaking out of the old one. Poseidon is one of those released siblings. And when the Olympians rise, they don't just claim power, they claim reality. The sea becomes a ruled domain, not a chaotic void. The coastline becomes a frontier where humans can negotiate with the divine if they do it properly. Poseidon steps into that role like a force of nature given a crown. He isn't gentle, but he is necessary. Now let's define him clearly, because Poseidon's portfolio is bigger than most people realize. Yes, Poseidon is the god of the sea, but in myth, sea isn't just water. It includes everything that comes with it: currents, tides, shipwrecks, storms rolling in from nowhere, and the creatures that live where humans can't. And Poseidon's sea is not automatically hostile. It's moody, it's responsive. If he's honored, the sea can be a road. If he's insulted, the sea becomes a wall. But Poseidon's power doesn't stop at the shoreline. He's also connected to storms, not necessarily as the one who throws lightning bolts like Zeus, but as the one who turns the ocean into a weapon. Wind, waves, spray, darkness at noon. A calm sea can become a catastrophe. And then there's the title that might be the most terrifying of all, Poseidon the Earthshaker. Because in the ancient Mediterranean, earthquakes were real. Coastal cities knew the sound and violence of the ground moving. and when the earth trembles, it can feel like the world itself is angry. In Greek imagination, that anger belonged to Poseidon. And then, almost strangely, he's also tied to horses. Sometimes as their creator, sometimes as their patron, sometimes as the force of wildness they represent. Horses are power that humans try to harness. Their speed, panic, strength, and beauty, controlled only if they allow it. That's Poseidon in animal form, energy you can ride until you can't. So remember this, Poseidon isn't a sea wizard. He is the god of unstable power, water, earth, and wild force. He is the part of reality you cannot argue with. Before we jump into the big myths, here's a quick mini spotlight that helps Poseidon feel more real. His epithets, his titles. Greek gods weren't just one thing. People addressed them in specific ways depending on what they needed. Poseidon the Earthshaker when the ground won't stay still. Poseidon of the deep when you're at sea and the water under you is endless. Poseidon the Horse Lord when you're dealing with speed, power, and untamed energy. Poseidon the Stormbringer when the horizon is dark and the wind changes its mind. These titles aren't just poetic, they're practical. They tell you what the Greeks feared, what they respected, and what they begged for. And they tell you that Poseidon was never just the ocean. So what is Poseidon like as a character? If Zeus is authority and Athena is strategy, Poseidon is pride plus force. He's territorial, he's sensitive to insult. He rewards respect, but he doesn't forgive arrogance easily. And this makes sense if you think like a sailor. Imagine you survive the sea, you cross it, you return home. And then you brag as if you did that alone, as if the ocean didn't have the power to end you in a heartbeat. To the Greeks, that kind of pride was dangerous. They called it hubris, the moment a human forgets their place in a world filled with powers bigger than them. Poseidon is one of the gods who punishes hubris most brutally. But he also protects. He can bless harbors, he can calm seas, he can grant safe passage. A fisherman who respects him may feed his family. So Poseidon is a truth. Nature can be generous and nature can be cruel, and it doesn't owe you an explanation for either. Now let's hit one of Poseidon's most famous rivalries, his contest with Athena. The myth goes like this. A city is being founded, and it needs a patron deity. Two gods step forward with two different visions. Poseidon offers a gift associated with his domain, often told as a saltwater spring bursting from the ground, or a dramatic show of sea power. It's impressive, it's loud, it's force. Athena offers something different, the olive tree, symbol of food, oil, trade, and long-term stability. The people choose Athena. And Poseidon doesn't take that well. Because this isn't just a popularity contest, it's a clash of values. Poseidon represents raw power and the sea's might, the kind of strength that can make a city rich through trade or destroy it through storms. Athena represents strategy, civic order, and sustainable prosperity. So the myth becomes a cultural memory, a warning, and a lesson. A city can worship power, but if it chooses only power, it may drown in it. Athens, in this story, chooses wisdom over intimidation. But the fact that Poseidon was a contender at all tells you something. Sea power mattered. It mattered enough that a city's identity could have been built around him. And even when he loses, Poseidon doesn't vanish. His presence lingers like salt in the air. If you want Poseidon at his most relentless, look at his relationship with Odysseus. Odysseus is clever. He's a survivor. He's the kind of hero who talks his way out of traps and thinks his way past monsters. But even the smartest hero has limits, especially when the limit is a god. Odysseus blinds Polyphemus, the Cyclops, and in many versions, Polyphemus is Poseidon's son. The moment Odysseus harms him, whether out of necessity or arrogance, he becomes personal business. Poseidon doesn't punish Odysseus with a single lightning strike. He does something worse. He makes the journey home impossible. The sea becomes a maze. Every near success becomes a reversal. Every calm moment becomes a setup for disaster. And the story turns the ocean into a character, not scenery, not background, but a living opposition. Here's what's so frightening about this. Odysseus isn't being punished only for violence, he's being punished for crossing a boundary. In Greek myth, monsters are not just random enemies. Many of them belong to someone. They're part of the divine ecosystem. And to attack them is to challenge the authority behind them. Odysseus forgets that. Or, worse, he remembers it and thinks he can escape the consequences. Poseidon teaches him the oldest lesson a sailor can learn. Your cleverness means nothing if the sea decides you don't get to pass. All right, quick myth quiz break. 3 rapid scenarios. You decide, is this Poseidon a sea god, earthquake god, or horse lord? 1. A coastline city prays after the ground cracks and buildings sway. That's Poseidon as Earthshaker. 2. A king boasts that his fleet is unstoppable, and suddenly a storm tears the ships apart. That's Poseidon as ruler of the sea and storms. 3. A wild stallion appears like it was born from foam and thunder. Beautiful, powerful, and dangerous. That's Poseidon as Horse Lord. If you're scoring at home, the point isn't just trivia. It's that Poseidon's mythic identity is multi-headed, like the sea itself. He shows up in different forms depending on where humans feel most vulnerable. Now let's talk about a myth that shows Poseidon's relationship to promises, because Poseidon, like many Greek gods, takes vows seriously. In the story of King Minos of Crete, Minos seeks divine favor to prove he deserves the throne. Poseidon sends a magnificent bull from the sea as a sign, an animal so perfect it's basically a living stamp of approval. But there's a condition implied in these myths. When a god grants a sign, you honor the god in return. You don't take the gift and pretend it was yours all along. Minos looks at the bull and decides he doesn't want to sacrifice it. It's too valuable, too impressive, too useful. So he keeps it. And in Greek myth logic, that's not just selfish, it's disrespect. It's theft disguised as practicality. Poseidon's response isn't a polite reminder, it's escalation. The result is chaos in Minos, house and kingdom. Because when you break faith with a god, the world bends out of shape around that betrayal. The deeper message is simple and brutal. The gods are not vendors. You don't bargain with them and then edit the contract afterward. Poseidon gives gifts that come with hooks. And if you ignore the hook, you get dragged. Here's something important. Poseidon wasn't only a figure of stories. He was a figure of life. If you lived inland, you could treat the sea like a distant rumor. But the Mediterranean world was built around coasts. Trade, fishing, travel, war. So much depended on crossing water. And water is unforgiving. So Poseidon had temples on cliffs. He had sanctuaries near harbors. Sailors prayed to him before leaving and thanked him when they returned. People made offerings to ask for calm seas or safe passage. And when earthquakes struck, especially in coastal regions, his name would have been on people's lips. Because the feeling of the ground moving under your feet is the feeling that reality is not yours. Poseidon, in short, was the god of you can't control this. And you don't have to imagine how that feels. You felt it. Anyone who stood near a stormy ocean has felt it. That's why Poseidon worked as a god. He wasn't just a story. He was a pattern people recognized. Time booster number 3. Myth versus modern. Why he gets simplified. 1745. Quick myth versus modern moment. Because this is where Poseidon gets flattened. In a lot of modern portrayals, Poseidon becomes the ocean guy. He's basically a water mage with a trident. But ancient Poseidon is more unsettling than that. He's the earthquake god, the earth shaker, the one whose anger can crack cities. He's the patron of horses, wild force that humans try to ride. He's tied to storms and destruction, not just waves and sea creatures. Modern stories often shrink gods into one power set. But mythic gods are more like ecosystems, messy, overlapping, and contradictory. And Poseidon, more than most, refuses to stay neatly in one box, because the forces he represents don't stay neatly in one box either. Sea, storm, quake, and wild power. These are linked realities in a coastal world. So when you see Poseidon in modern media, it's worth asking, are we seeing the ancient god, or only the part of him that looks cool in a single scene? Quick myth versus modern moment, because this is where Poseidon gets flattened. In a lot of modern portrayals, Poseidon becomes the ocean guy. He's basically a water mage with a trident. But ancient Poseidon is more unsettling than that. He's the earthquake god, the earth shaker, the one whose anger can crack cities. He's the patron of horses, wild force that humans try to ride. He's tied to storms and destruction, not just waves and sea creatures. Modern stories often shrink gods into one power set, but mythic gods are more like ecosystems, messy, overlapping, and contradictory. And Poseidon, more than most, refuses to stay neatly in one box, because the forces he represents don't stay neatly in one box either. Sea, storm, quake, and wild power. These are linked realities in a coastal world. So when you see Poseidon in modern media, it's worth asking, are we seeing the ancient god, or only the part of him that looks cool in a single scene? So why does Poseidon endure? Because he embodies something fundamental. The world is not built around your comfort. The sea is beautiful, and the sea is deadly. The earth is stable until it isn't. Power is useful until it becomes pride. Poseidon is the god of that reality. He doesn't exist to teach you a tidy moral lesson. He exists to remind you that respect isn't optional when you live near forces that can erase you. And there's something oddly honest about that. Poseidon isn't the villain. He isn't the hero. He's the boundary. He's what happens when humans meet the uncaring scale of nature and try to translate that feeling into a face and a name. So here's the core truth to take with you. Poseidon is not just the ocean guy. He's the god of unstable power, sea, storm, earthquake, and wild force. He protects when honored, and he destroys when insulted. And his myths endure because the sea still teaches the same lesson it taught the ancient Greeks. You don't conquer it. You don't outsmart it. You respect it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Poseidon, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more mythic stories and deep explanations, and drop a comment with your favorite Poseidon moment. Was it the rivalry with Athena, the punishment of Odysseus, or the way he embodies the raw terror of the natural world? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tale.